Welcome once again to Raising the Consciousness of Humanity. Today's guest is somebody that I met a couple of years ago. I was newly elected to the board of directors at the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast, and I went over her house. All of us did, and she was actually helping to facilitate some basic training around best practices of being on a board. And so Joan, I'm so excited. Number one, Joan, I didn't know back then. I didn't know you were a channel. I didn't know that anything about you. I also noticed that you have a doctor's degree, you have a PhD. So, and you channel Ariel, and
Correct.
so what I'd love to do, and this, I guess what I'd love to do in this basic first part of the conversation, because I'm figuring if I didn't know, and we have a lot of our followers are from the Center for Spiritual Living, Coast on
Right.
Coast, as well as other centers and stuff. The very first question that comes to mind, and I'm sure you get this, because the name Ariel, right? I think of Little Mermaid or Archangel Ariel.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so Ariel, who is Ariel? And let's just start with that.
Okay. I am an energy medicine healer, and
Okay.
I have a fairly significant practice. Interestingly, much of it is now done by phone, which even surprised me you could do that, but you can. And prior to doing a session, I would sit and I would hear these things.
Hmm.
I didn't know what I was hearing, but I started writing them down. And actually, they made sense. And I thought, well, maybe this is a signal that I should be speaking to spirit and saying, is there a message for Mary? Because I'm about to work with Mary.
Okay.
That's how that started. That started all the way back in probably 2009,
Hmm.
2008. It was quite a while ago. I just wrote down whatever I heard. Sometimes it was a full sentence, sometimes it was two or three sentences, sometimes it was a phrase. I made it a regular part of my practice. As time went on, the hearing with the inner ears, the hearing was clearer. It
Hmm.
was a little more precise. And so after a number of years, I was now starting to study mediumship and psychic phenomena.
Okay.
And I asked the woman who I was studying with, how can I learn more about this voice? And she said, well, did you ever ask? I said, oh no, I never did. I never thought I could do that.
Yeah.
Well, the long and short of that is I asked and I didn't get a name, but I heard, you are here to serve. I am here to guide you.
Oh, nice.
So I wrote down everything I heard. And then when the client was on the phone or in person, I would say, I have a spirit guide, and this is the message she would like you to hear today.
Hmm.
It took, I'm going to say, about maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe more. And I started to get an image, probably my third eye, but
Yeah.
higher around the crown chakra. And the image was elusive,
Yeah.
and it was white and like movement like this a little bit.
Yeah.
And I said, I see you. I see you.
Wow.
So now I had something coming to me.
Hmm.
Of course, I asked her name. Zero, nothing.
Hmm.
Took a few more years. Oh, and she did respond to me. You don't need to know my name. That's not important.
That's not important. Okay.
Not important. But then a few more years went by, and I asked, is it time for you? And I think the way I phrased the question made a difference. Is it time for me to know your name? And she said, yes.
Hmm.
My name is Ariel, and I could see it. So the spelling is Ariel. Whereas a woman's name would be, I think, Arielle or some such thing, right?
Okay.
So that's what I know about her. Um, I got the message that she never lived on the earth.
Hmm.
She has always lived in spirit,
Hmm.
and she is here to help with healing. That's her whole purpose.
Wow. So, Joan, uh, going back to I'm curious, did you know if you had any spiritual psychic gifts at all, like when you were much younger, like when you were a kid, or is it just the moment you went into, you said energy medicine healing? It just evolved around that time?
No, when I was a kid and I'd walk home from school almost a mile by myself, maybe 10 or 11, out of the corner of my eye, and it was always my left eye,
Okay.
I I thought I saw another kid walking with me.
Hmm.
And so I would turn, and of course there was nothing there. There was nobody there. But I could feel that somebody was walking home with me or walking with me. It was a girl, and she never went home. It
Hmm.
was just this quick glimpse. So a part of me has always felt connected to spirit.
Hmm.
Once I was old enough to put words to it, you know.
Sure.
Um, and then when I was in high school, and the girls would talk about what boy they liked, and am I going to see the boy today? And they'd call me up and say, Joan, am I gonna see Alan today? Is he going to be in school? And I'd say, he'll be there, and he's probably going to wear a red shirt. And sure enough,
Ah,
so I never gave much thought to it. I couldn't always call upon it.
yes.
It
Yeah.
was it was more when it called upon me, you
Yep.
know, until I really I did a spiritual transformation program and in Madison, Virginia, many years ago. And in that program, I learned so much more about the depth of spirituality and our higher self and our lower self and how we have to work with both,
Hmm.
um, and that spirit lives within us.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sitting in meditation and I saw this beautiful figure in the window, angelic almost, but like a human. And I said to one of the teachers in that program, this is what I saw. She was love, she was pure love. And the
Hmm.
teacher said to me, Joan, what you're seeing is yourself.
Okay.
And that sort of blew me away. And so then I had started investigating that way. So I've always known I was very connected, but I never channeled per se
Okay.
until until I started studying mediumship and I could bring in people from the other side
Hmm.
and I could hear them and I could see them.
Yep.
So that's when it really opened up for me.
Wow. Wow. Good. No, thanks for sharing that because
Mhm.
it helps to get clarity because everybody's got a different life path and different process and different ways that happens. I'm curious also around when you said you heard, do you hear the message like is it audible like you actually are hearing it or okay, because I know that's and when you hear it, does it sound like it's in your own voice, a different voice, a male voice, a female voice, or is it just a like sometimes like and the only reason why I ask this is sometimes I'll get like a message and I'm like, I don't know, I didn't that wasn't audible to me, but there was like clearly a message. So I guess that's my
Right.
curiosity.
Sure. It was used to be mine too. Actually, and this is going to sound really weird to you, it's in no voice.
Ah,
It's inside my head.
hmm,
I hear it inside my head. It is not my voice. It's not a male voice, a female voice. It's almost like a brainwave
hmm,
rather than it's the frequency of a brainwave rather than the way you and I would think, which is what we are doing when we speak, right?
Yeah.
It's a frequency of energy. And I never really thought about what a great question. It's inside my head that I hear it. Sometimes I sense it, and as I'm writing and I hear a word, just the other day it happened. It's like a real old fashioned word. Something, I think the sentence was something like, to the person that was going to have the session, and spirit asks you to partake of. I thought, that is not the way I speak, partake of.
Yeah.
And that makes, that makes me feel so good because I thought, it's not me. It's not me.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's it. That's good. I relate. There's a word and I'm like, I got to look that up in a dictionary because I'm not even sure what if that is a word. Like, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Wow. So, and then it took a while to get Ariel's name. And I
Right.
kind of understand that because from a human perspective, we always want to label things. Like we validate through giving an identity or a label.
Right.
And you said that she's never been on Earth, like never been
That's
physically
what she
on
said.
the planet. And yeah, and the other thing too is like I also hear from different channels and different people like it's all part of the one thing. It's all part of, in many cases, a connection to our higher self, and because we're multidimensional, so there's aspects of our soul or higher self or whatever. Um, does that kind of feel like with the relationship that you have with Ariel? Is any of that ever come out like are are you feeling that deep connection? You said she's here to help, and you're here to what was again that
So she's here to help with the healing. I'm here to serve.
you're here to serve. Okay, that's profound.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and Ron, I read a book on channeling. Oh, I can't remember the author. It's one of these big chubby ones.
yeah,
And of course, you cannot, unlike mediumship, if I was doing a mediumship reading for you, and I said that your grandfather came in and I described your grandfather, you could validate either I was describing your grandfather or it was somebody
sure.
else's grandfather, right? With channeling, it's not evidentiary based.
Yeah,
And so um, there's enough of a scientist in me, even though I'm not an analytical person. I'm much more intuitive. But that when I read this book, it said, "Is it true channeling from another being, or is it your own higher self that is connected to beings?" Well, there's no answer to that question,
yeah,
and I don't know the answer to that. And it's what I did with that question is what I did years ago when I studied energy medicine. And I thought, anatomically, I really don't know anything about the body. Maybe I should take some anatomy lessons, questions,
yeah.
courses. And I heard a clear no, no,
Really?
yes. The reason for that is then I would go into my head, right?
Hmm.
Oh, it's this muscle, or here's the spleen. What I do is completely intuitive and spirit led.
Mm.
I've had a couple of fascinating, and I trust spirit 100%. Many years ago, I had a sanctuary that I built in West Virginia on 2 acres when I lived in West Virginia. And a woman that I was offering services to, she said, "There's a young man, a friend of mine, and he would like to try a session. Would you be willing?" I said, "Of course." So he comes up to the sanctuary. It was a beautiful room, looked out on the woods, and I could feel the depth of sadness. I knew nothing about him. When I put my hands on him, I could just feel the sadness enveloping his body. And I had my hands on his heart chakra, And Ron, this is one of the first times it ever happened to me, and it freaked me out in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
I saw another set of hands on his heart chakra. And
Really?
I went, oh my God, right? And I'm trying to be professional and calm and peaceful. And
Yeah.
there was a woman standing next to me, very black hair, short, pale skin. And she kept saying a name in another language. I heard it as Mikilla, but I don't know what she really was saying.
Yeah.
And then she disappeared. At the
Wow.
end of the session, I whispered to this young man. I didn't say anything about the other hands or anything. I simply said, this is what I heard. Does Michaela mean anything to you? And he started weeping. He said, that's my name in Gaelic.
Oh, wow.
I'm Michael. So that was his mother. He
Mm.
said, tell me what you saw. He said, you're describing my mother. I'm getting goosebumps as I talk.
Yeah.
And she came into the healing. That's when I knew this is real. And that was
Wow.
about 2004, I'd say.
Okay.
Yes, that was a
So
while back.
thank you for sharing that story too. And you basically said that, he did heal just from that, or I mean, probably.
Well, it was a beginning of knowing his mother had passed away,
Yep.
and he was very close to her, and he felt that she was completely separated from him. So I'm sure he had a lot more grief work to do with somebody else, but
Yeah.
he knew that she was with him.
That's good.
Uh,
That's a little bit of a healing right there.
Exactly. It was a big, yeah, that was a big part. That he did not feel so separated. He didn't feel desolate, isolated, that his mom was there. I mean, he was young, he was probably 22.
I feel sometimes when it comes to, like you said, there's a difference between mediumship versus channeling, but messages in general tend to bring comfort
Yes.
or an understanding, and especially because of your background as an energy, medicine healer.
Mm.
Like, I'm sure the key thing is somebody seeking a solution, but at the same time, when messages come through, I would say they could be very, in many ways, self-empowering,
Oh,
helps people with a little bit of clarity and understanding.
right.
Honestly, it also helps a person understand that, hey, there is a spiritual world
Well,
because
yes,
yeah.
I'm so glad you said that because last year I was doing a session for somebody who referred to me whose son committed suicide.
Hmm.
And he was not at all interested. Don't talk to me, spirit, God. I'm not there. And so we just did energy work. And I had him on the table. It was a phone session. I had him on the table. I knew nothing about the young man's background, how he committed suicide.
Hmm.
I didn't know anything. As I'm working with the client, the dad, I see a hand come down over the body with a bracelet. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And I said, are you the son? And in my head, I heard yes. So here's a man that doesn't want to know about the spirit world. He doesn't want to know any of that. But I felt compelled.
Hmm.
And so I said to him, this is what just happened. Does your son did he wear a bracelet? Not metal, not leather, but some other kind of bracelet. And for a minute, he said nothing. And I thought, oh, I think I've crossed a line with him.
Yeah.
And he was catching his breath. He said, yes, every day. Right. So when spirit wants to talk to us, it's so real.
Yeah.
It's so real, right? And that's what Ariel Speaks is all about, is we don't live, and we know intellectually we don't live in this little
Yeah.
world of ours that is so compressed to our five senses. We live in this big world where the veil is so thin, we can go back and forth. All of us can.
Yeah.
Everybody can.
Yeah. Yeah, and most of us grow up in a way, most, not all, but most grow up in a way where we're not taught any of that. It's not doesn't
Right,
show up in our schools. It typically
right,
doesn't show up in other structures like religion. It's many cases, sometimes depending on the religious belief system of the family, you adopt that, and that can be almost the opposite of self-empowering or awareness of the spiritual. It could almost put you in a position of not feeling worthy or good enough, and so what you shared, I think that is a doorway or an opening for an individual to actually, especially like you said, he didn't want to talk about that, but how can you not validate when it's your own son, and especially something
exactly.
like wearing a bracelet? That's wow.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I mean, thanks for sharing that. I'm sure. So you wrote a book. So
I
that's
did.
kind of that was, when I got the email about the book, I'm like, wow, I need to have Joan on this show.
Oh, I'm so grateful.
I've got my copy right here. And
Oh, that's fabulous.
what I love about it is this part. Like I don't write in here. Actually, because I already have journals. So I'm like I'm always the one that doesn't want to like write into the real book. I always want to use
Sure,
my paper, my journal, and everything else.
sure.
What I love about it is this, yeah, you're engaging the reader with all these little areas where you learn about yourself, right?
Right, right.
And through this contemplation and stuff. So tell me how, you know, Ariel must have guided you. Like there was something inside of you that says, "Oh, I want to bring this forth." And I guess you said you do study groups or something too with.
I do
Okay,
now, but
okay,
the way it happened was it would be the middle of the night and you wake up and you go to the restroom and then you can't go back to sleep, right?
yeah,
And that's when the downloads really happen for me,
okay,
unless it's about a client, and then it happens right before the session. So what I heard was people are in a state of hurt. We have to accelerate healing in our world. Go through all the messages, go through all the messages that you have for clients and find 26. She was very specific.
hmm,
Find 26 that are general, that would apply to anybody. I got out of bed. I said, okay. Because I keep a record of every message that she gives me. And I went through all these messages. I came up with 28. My sister was my editor on this, so I sent them to her.
okay,
And she's a retired lawyer. She likes details. So, it was perfect. I said, which of these 28, I need 26, which speak to you? She worked with each one and we discarded two.
ah,
Okay, fine. So then what happened was, okay, here are these messages, but how do people know what to do with the message?
hmm,
And so then she said, so then I'd sit, not so much even in meditation. I'm walking, I'm
hmm,
talking to her. She said, well, you have to do some thoughts to ponder and give them ideas as to how to work. I'm a shamanic practitioner. I studied shamanism for 2 years
okay,
with Alberto Vialdo and went to Peru, and
hmm,
I'm in a lineage. And so some of the thoughts to ponder are shamanic practice,
okay,
such as if there was something about yourself that you wish to release, you write it down,
mm-hmm,
you rip it up, and then you burn it.
and burn it. Yep.
Right? In shamanic practice, if you don't rip it up and you put it in the fire, fire consumes it and it goes into the airwaves, and spirit says, oh, 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 she wants more of that.
Ah,
So you have to rip it up to tell spirit this is a no.
okay.
So some of the thoughts to ponder are shamanic, some are just very basic, some are just total reflective. Lots of it is going into nature
Yep.
because of the importance of the connection. And then the note page, there are a number of people that don't write in them. in the
Yeah.
book itself, just similar to you. And then what happened was many of my clients, after it was published, many of my clients bought a copy.
Hmm.
And what I realized, oh, I have to back up because I would like to read you something. So it's ready to go to print. I'm ready to
Yeah.
go to print. I wake up and I'm getting this message. It's not ready. It's not ready. I thought, oh my God, it's ready. What am I was really a little disturbed. Ariel says, there are no principles to rest the messages on. Okay. I didn't want to wake up my husband. I get out of bed. I'm scratching what I'm hearing on a piece of paper to decipher in the morning, right? If I may, these are the principles that start off her messages that she
Okay.
wanted people to know. Is that okay?
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
The first one is some perceptions formed in early childhood are based on illusions of scarcity, unlovability, or not being good enough.
Hmm.
Second one, these perceptions inform your life into adulthood, resulting in fear, judgment, and a belief in the need to protect vulnerabilities.
Hmm.
Third, we are able to shed unwanted beliefs of the past, just as the serpent sheds its skin. Fourth, happiness is your birthright. And the last one, you can dream your world into being.
You can change your
So
world. I
what
love
I
that. Yeah.
me too, and what I realized, oh, she was so right. So before you start doing a message, what's the foundation? What's the philosophical belief system here?
Yes. And that's
That's what she was.
interwoven from the very beginning of, we adopt these beliefs, we
Right.
take them into our adult life. I like all of it actually. The one, and I don't want to make sure I'm paraphrasing it correctly, but the shed the skin, that you can shed. Okay.
You can shed your past the way the serpent sheds his skin. That's a shamanic belief.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's
And so,
yeah, that's good. That's good. I love that being in there because you can is a big thing. Yeah.
right. And the image of the serpent, I mean, just about everybody has seen a snake who has walked away and the skin is still there, right?
Yeah.
So we have a tangible image in our mind, which helps.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's transformation in
Right,
a way.
exactly. So then what happened is I realized that people who had the book, they were liking the messages, but the commitment to stay with it in a steady way or to understand how to do it was missing. And so I decided, or maybe was led, this part I don't know,
Yeah.
to do a study group.
Yeah.
And so I'm almost finished with the third study group, and we go through every message in the book. We do like three at a time. And how is this affecting your life? And it's a
Yeah.
confidential group, we do it on Zoom. How is this affecting your life? How is this helpful? People share some deep pain,
Yeah.
and they've got the support of a group. Not that the group necessarily says anything, but they can feel the love from the
Yeah.
other members.
Yeah.
And then from the first two groups, there were some that were saying, wait, we're not ready to let go of this. I mean, we can continue to grow. How do we do that? So we created an alumni group.
Okay. Nice.
So that's where it is as of today.
Wow. And I agree. So many of us, we can have the best material in front of us.
Right.
We integrate it better when we're in community,
Yes.
when we can
Yes.
reflect it to somebody. So the first question you answer, because it came up in my mind, is like, do you do this in person or on Zoom? So you're doing these on Zoom,
I am. Mm-hmm.
which opens you up to a larger audience, or people can be
Right.
outside the area. I know you have a home both up north and also in Florida. So,
Right.
um, yeah. And how many people typically do you have in a group?
I like to limit the group to 8 because
Okay.
but the alumni is 10, but that's okay. They've been through it once,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and the alumni group runs differently than the study group. I facilitate and we
Yeah.
talk about the thoughts to ponder. I send them study guide questions ahead of time to help them work it. In the alumni group, it's on them. I mean, I open up the Zoom, and of course, if there's something that I can say that would be helpful, I say it. But they take it upon themselves. These three messages, I worked with this one. I realize I haven't made the progress I thought that I made. I still need to, whatever. Or it's the same issue and it came out in all three messages. And so now I'm working with, yeah, it's fascinating to me. And I'm so honored that they're doing the work the way they are. I'm sure Ariel is very, very happy.
Yeah. And I'm sure Ariel probably knows that the people all who showed up is probably by divine appointment, I would say, the people that show up. And then,
Absolutely.
yeah, the alumni group, that's amazing because if they're number one, love the material as much as they do, there's a commitment there. And the fact that they're willing to carry it on or wanting to carrying it forward, I think is great. And so are you envisioning keep to keep doing these what would you call it? Group what's the name?
I call them study groups.
Study groups. Okay, study groups.
Right now, I'd say when this one finishes in early June, if there was another group of people that bought books and wanted to
Yeah,
work with it, absolutely I would. The
yeah.
changes in people's lives over 8 weeks. We do it over an 8 week
8 weeks.
period.
Okay.
And the other thing that I just am so thrilled about, there's one young man who is in the study group. I'm sorry, and now the alumni group,
Yeah.
and his significant other is in the study group. And each of them are reporting the changes in their life in communication and really understanding that some of the things that are upsetting them about the partner has nothing to do with the partner. It's all that stuff that happened, before you're 5 years old, and now you're projecting onto your partner, right?
Yeah.
And when you see things like that happening, you say, "Hallelujah!" I mean, this is how it works. This is how we come alive. This is how we feel whole. And
Yeah.
we know we're enough. We are good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like you said, the putting it into practice.
Right.
So much that we can gain from wisdom and knowledge, and that we agreed, like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's putting it into practice
Right.
and continuing long enough with consistency that then we begin to embody it, or we some sort of shift happens, uh, because our nature, we're so distracted. I know
Yeah.
I am.
No, we all are. We all are.
Yeah.
And you said that so beautifully, Ron. It's the difference between I get it or I get it down to your
Yeah.
third, second chakra. I mean, it's got to be down there or we're not living it.
Yep.
You know, yes, you said it so eloquently.
So has Ariel kind of given you any insight, or because right now we're going through, um you always hear that the best of times, the worst of times, right? We're going through a bit of a change that's happening, I think is
Right.
the polite way I would put it, but there's so much that is going on a personal level, because I've got friends and people I know that have had losses. Maybe it was a loved
Mhm.
one, maybe loss of life, maybe like myself. I just had a dear friend, a cat that I had to put down this morning.
Mhm.
Loss of a job, or something shaking up in their life that's changing them, and it's affecting them emotionally. And then on the grand stage of life, um, I actually, made a decision. I don't really have a TV anymore, so I don't really watch this, but you still see it. You can
Sure.
you log into YouTube and there's typically something on the side there that says, oh, this is going on in the world or whatever. So with all the, I don't know if it's turmoil, I don't know if the word is chaos, but all the things that are going on, has Ariel brought in any key messages for this time that that we could do or practice that we could do or something that helps us stay grounded, I guess. That's
That's a great question. And the first thing that comes to my mind is many years ago, Margaret Mead, of course, someone that I honored, being an anthropologist myself, she said, we change the world one person at a time.
hmm,
And I'd say that all the work, whether it's through Ariel's messages or however one does their spiritual work, that's what we're doing. We're changing ourselves. And by changing ourselves, the rest of the world does change as each person changes. But that's a very slow process.
yeah.
And right now, it feels like everything is high velocity. And at times, I think to myself, are we doing enough? Am
Hmm,
I doing enough? Am I doing enough? So the answer to your question is that right now, that's a question that I have for myself.
yeah.
And I am about to really sit with Ariel and say, what is the next step for me?
Hmm,
What is it that you would like me to do? What path? You show me the path, I will walk it.
yeah.
And so I think there is something we can do. And I think that, um, for instance, are you aware of the power of eight groups? Is that something familiar to you?
The power of what?
Eight, the number eight.
Well, I know that eight is a very significant number. But I guess if you could explain for not only me, but for our audience. Yeah.
Sure. So uh, I'm blocking right now on the author's name. She wrote a book called The Power of Eight.
Okay.
And she said, when eight people come together and create an intention that is measurable
Hmm.
and meet with regularity and meditate and focus on that intention, it will bear fruit.
Wow.
And there has been research done that has shown, in fact, in Florida, there was some research done with one of the hurricanes and the damage that could have been caused that wasn't caused
Yeah.
because there was a power of eight working with the waters.
Ah,
Anyway, I sit on a power of eight group. I've sat on this group for now about 4 years.
wow.
And the intention that we have is that the people in power, the government, the Supreme Court, Congress, excuse me, make decisions based on honesty, fairness, and in the highest good of this country.
Yeah.
And at times we see something like that happening, and then there are times we don't.
Yeah.
So that's a little aside, but I think there may be something, not power of eight, but I think there may be something that individuals like you, like me, that do Zoom work, if we had a similar format that reached out to many people,
Yeah.
that got to what is it that each person can do to
Hmm.
shed their light? Well, the first thing is you got to make sure your light's shining, right? We
Yeah.
have no dimmable, no dim lights.
Yeah.
So that means we have to do a little work on ourselves. And there may be something there, and I feel there is, Ron, and I can't put my finger on it because I haven't been told yet.
Well, I'm sure you're going to be told because I can sense you're asking the question.
I
And
am,
yeah, and Joan, you just as you share that, eight on its side is an infinity symbol, and eight,
right?
I think in numerology means abundance or expansion or prosperity, and which are so many beautiful things that yeah, and then it is seven, but then the eighth becomes the new octave and sound and stuff too.
Right,
So it's that
right.
it's that leap to what we would call the new earth or the new way of being or the And what you share, you did say this earlier about the ability, or maybe it was one of the Ariel's principles, the ability to see uh, the the ability to, I guess, envision, um,
to dream your world into
to
being.
dream your world. Yes, 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 that's it. Yeah, and maybe that's it. Maybe that's. I think all of what Ariel shares in those principles is so valid because we need to become self-aware of what is it within our childhood or our life that's there.
Right,
Because if we don't have awareness around it, then how can we actually go into shedding? We can't shed if we don't know. Like,
right, right.
and it's true that shedding that we probably then start to shift more into oneness, uh, you
Exactly.
know, thought in anchor love and abundance and things like that. So,
Mhm.
which leads to the number eight. I can now I get it. Now that
Okay,
kind of
good.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
I think that um, it is a great honor to be given information that can then help ourselves first
Mm,
and then somehow spread that to others because really we don't need to suffer.
yeah,
As Eckhart Tolle talks about in The Power of Now, we don't need to suffer.
yeah.
And I love his the way he expressed it with if we're suffering, we're thinking of the past or we're thinking of the future.
Mm,
If we stay in the present, there's really very little, not to say it doesn't happen. Like this morning for you, when you had to put down your cat, there was suffering.
yeah,
But now, as you and I are speaking, if you are still suffering, you're thinking about this morning when you put down your cat.
yeah. Past, yeah.
And right. And then we're not in the now.
Mm,
And it's principles like that. If we act on that, if we live by that and help other people to do so, that's what's going to change this world, I think.
I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah, and because and when we're in the now,
Right.
where we are not so distracted by the mental thoughts.
Right.
We're more
Right.
in the heart. We're more in the breath. We're more in that calm centeredness, and it's actually that. Yeah, and I feel that's yeah. I feel that that's actually where compassion comes from too, because
Yes.
compassion isn't when we're so busy with our mind or so confused and distracted. We really never and 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 that's pure the ability to understand the neighbor, the other person, whatever anybody is going through, and
Right.
it's almost what compassion is almost like the opposite of the word judgment because you can't be in judgment if you're in compassion. So it's like, yeah,
Exactly. And the other thing I think of, Ron, is I grew up Catholic.
yeah,
Is much about the Catholic Church that really helps with saints and
yeah,
so the idea that you can reach over to another realm, Catholicism is pretty good about that. But
yeah,
anyway, um, if I had not been introduced to metaphysical spirituality many, many years ago, if I had not been introduced, what would I know of the power of now? What would I know of trust the universe? That's
yeah,
not what we know. It's what some of us know,
mm,
right? And there's a happiness, there's a joy, there's a sense of stability and groundedness if we stick with the metaphysical principles,
yeah.
right? So don't we want to share that with other people? It's like a good recipe. you know, Gee, if I had this great recipe to bake this cake, I'd want to give it to my neighbor and my family and it's the same idea,
It is.
right?
Yeah, and I agree with that. I have often that's why I like when I get the opportunity to speak at the center.
Yes.
And I also am mindful that not everybody is going to follow. Um, Everybody is, I believe, in a way, receiving the teaching that's meant for them at the time that they're receiving it.
Right.
Doesn't mean that I remember my dad coming to the Center for Spiritual Living in Cape Coral, and he's like, I like what he's saying.
Mm.
And it
Oh,
was
how
Reverend
nice.
Emil that was the minister there at the moment. And my dad, we left. I think we went out for breakfast or something. And he's like, we can sometimes judge a place, a building, a belief, or whatever, but the
Right.
moment something resonates with us,
Yes.
you get that feeling. And I remember that when he shared that, he's like, I like because my dad was always, but my mom was Catholic, my dad was Protestant, so that was called a mixed marriage back then. But
Right. I remember. I remember.
yeah, but my dad always had this thing, like he would say these things, like if you put your mind to it, you can do it. You know,
Wow.
like anything is possible. Like I remember getting that from him when as a kid. So it doesn't surprise me because then he battled through cancer and he went through so many things before he passed, but he leaned into that power of possibility. And when he came, I forget the reason why he was. Oh, he was there because Fani was singing, and so he wanted to see her sing.
Okay.
And so yeah, and so Reverend Emil was speaking, and something about the message. He's like, I like this. It's like,
You know, and clearly, not that I know you super well, but as I know you, you have embodied the teaching of your dad, and your
yeah,
dad embodied the teaching, which is basically a shamanic teaching, dream your world into being. That's what your dad was saying. You can do it.
yeah,
Dream it.
dream it. Yeah.
We in fact, one of the messages from Ariel is about dreams, and something about a dream is a wish your heart makes. Well, spirit speaks to us through the heart,
Mm,
right? But how many people at a certain age stage stop dreaming? And that's the work around that particular message. And it really interested me in the study groups that I've done. The number of people said, I haven't dreamed about what I want in maybe 15 years. I'm astounded,
mm.
astounded. I said, well, there's nothing holding you back. But what holds us back is all that stuff that Ariel started with in her principle, which is I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable,
Yeah,
I'm not, scarcity, scarcity. That's what we have to heal.
yeah, you're right. Because we carry that.
Yes,
We carry it in our cells of our body. We carry, yeah. So it's yeah, like that's why I like your book and I like the way it was written because it, Joan, it helps with self-awareness.
exactly.
I know I'm repeating myself, but that's what I clearly feel like, okay, when I'm taking time and I read that and I'm taking time with myself and going through and contemplating that, that's helping me with that self-awareness because true freedom really has to start at least at that level because
Exactly. Exactly. And
and
so,
being raised as a male,
right.
sometimes we're told to suck it up. Just like we cover up sometimes. I think we all do, both men and women. But
Sure.
I know that I've seen that pattern where it's like, don't show your feelings or
Right.
whatever. So I think that's good. But go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, 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 you didn't. I just wanted to say that to continue with what you were saying was in order to heal, we have to have some practical ways to do it.
Mm,
With this is not airy fairy, okay, and we sprinkle angel dust and it goes away.
yep.
No, it's hard work.
Yeah.
We have to go through it with the help of sometimes you need the help of someone else. That's why a spiritual counselor or energy healer, because it also stays in our cells, which you already mentioned.
Yeah.
And energy medicine is releasing it from the cells
Mm,
and balancing all the chakras so that when you get off the table, you feel so peaceful. It's like, well, this is the way we're intended to feel until all this environmental and head stuff. turned us around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do people find out more about you? Um, if they're interested in learning about the book or learning about you and your practice, and what
Sure.
how do we get them pointing it in the right direction?
I have a website.
Okay,
It's okay, it's www.moonbeamenergy.us. Moonbeamenergy.us.
nice.
My phone number, feel free to text or call me,
Yep,
941 223 0275. 941 223 0275.
perfect. And I will make sure also to include that or anything else you want me to include in the description box of the YouTube video. So everybody who's watching, if you didn't have a pen at the moment when Joan was sharing that,
Okay,
just look down below the video because that's where we'll put that information and any
great.
other information that you feel you'd like to share, Joan. I think this is wonderful. I think it's a wonderful topic. I think it's going to be we're going to need to have you come back. I think again.
Oh, I
And
would love it.
yeah, no, I'm glad we were able to do this. And I guess the question is, what if somebody's like wanting to maybe be a part of a future group? I guess they just reach out to you because if they're feeling called, or or do what I did, buy the book.
Well, you have to buy the book first because without
Yeah,
the book, we can't have a group. Right,
right.
right,
So
right.
and then I wrote to you, or somehow did I actually your address or I can't remember how is the book on the
There's,
website? I don't remember.
um, I think that my email is also in the book.
Okay,
And so we would put that with the contact information.
I'll
And
do that.
you sent me an email.
Okay, so I'll make sure I include your email and so people can reach out to you, get a copy
Right.
of the book. And yeah, and I would recommend to anybody, I think you're going to find that this is number one, a simple read. It's clearly understood. It's easy to put into practice. But I'm also that type of person that loves to be part of a community. So
Yeah, me too.
I think, yeah, I think what you're doing there, Joan, is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Well,
And thank you.
any
Well,
final last words you want to share?
um, it's so easy to talk about everything we talked about in this hour with someone like you because I can energetically feel the connection.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things that, just speaking for myself, when you meet people that are more defended,
Yeah.
hearts a little bit more closed, I try very hard to not speak with them quite the same way, but to come with something that is practical and tangible.
Mm,
So otherwise, it's like we're ships missing each other, you know? And the fact that they would even ask some questions says to me, well, there's some interest, there's a little bit of interest.
yeah.
And I think it's a bit of a challenge for us, which is true of all people. We like to have people around us that we're comfortable with,
Hmm.
that are familiar to us. But we have to take that step out there a little bit. Just go out there a little bit and put a toe in the water and say, wait a minute, you know, I'm protected by spirit.
Mm.
If I feel hurt, it's my personality. The divinity in me is never hurt. So put your toe in the water and just get out there. And that's sort of where I am in my life. So thank you for the opportunity of saying that.
Thank you so much, Joan. I really, really appreciate today. And like I said, I think we're going to think about a time when we can actually bring you back on. But meanwhile, to all the listeners watching this, uh, check out Joan's website, order the book, and I think you're going to find it's a very, very helpful tool, and perhaps you'll even be drawn to wanting to be part of one of those groups as well. So, Joan, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thank you so
Namaste.
much, Ron. Namaste.